Good evening, everyone, or morning. I don't know when you're looking at this, but burning the midnight oils again, which is a constant theme of mine. Anyways, I am glad to be doing this video again, and so I'm just going to dive right in. So this week, of course, we're supposed to talk about a biblical person, mythical figure who is essentially dealing with the same myth or dealt with the same myth that we are. So, just as a recap, brief recap, my myth of the myth of rejection. A myth of rejection basically states that you feel unwanted or unneeded or things like that. I talked about my own personal struggles and how I'm not sure if I'm wanted, and I talked about just kind of my struggles, right, and trying to grow in that. So this week, thinking of a biblical figure, I thought, now I know it's going to seem like a stretch for some, but I thought the Apostle Paul. And if I may, just give me the chance to just prove it to you, I guess, and show you my rationale. So for the Apostle Paul, as we all know, he was an apostle. But he, of course, as biblical scholars, we also know he was one of the 12, right? So in Acts and some of his other works, he has to justify his apostleship. While we know that he was knocked off his horse and saw the risen Christ and saw all these things, he has to use that to prove, because as scholars know, he had issues with the Jerusalem church, right? They didn't necessarily accept him or his message as well as he may have liked. And so there is an idea of rejection. We also could see very clearly a rejection within the society, right? Because Christianity was rejected. This idea of a monotheistic God was really kind of tied into the Jewish community, and that was about it, right? Because obviously we know that the Romans were not one God anything. So that, I think, is important to me. And the Apostle Paul, of course, overcomes this rejection. He states that, I'm not fighting. I'm not being, when he's imprisoned, he says, my judges aren't the world, basically, to paraphrase, but my judges are the heavenly hosts. And so he just really redirects this, and he gives a whole another idea of his message, and a whole other kind of debunk for rejection, right? And so that's not why I used him. I think, I'm going a little bit further here, but I do think the Apostle Paul is could be a great resource for me personally, seeing a legendary Christian figure who many would say, I would be in that camp, who would say, if not for Paul, it's the Gentiles that really carried the faith, right? I mean, Christianity didn't stick as well in the Jewish community as it later would in the Gentile community, right? So I think there's a tremendous amount to Paul. I think there's a lot that I can learn from Paul's teachings, writings. I think how Paul defeats rejection and sees that, no, the world doesn't judge me. It's not what others think. I'm not judged by people. I'm judged by God. I think that's powerful. I could probably just stop my little reflection right there, really. That's it. And I think Paul is handled rejection in an exciting way. And so that's basically my figure. I really thought that Paul really dealt with these things, dealt with rejection, constantly in jail, but continue to fight for community, for his belief in the risen Christ. And thanks to the contributions of Paul, I mean, I deduce that we're all here right now. The Gentiles, that is. Thank you so much. I look forward to hearing and seeing posts, and I will try to respond to more this week than last week. Last week I only responded to 2. I really want to try to get around to responding to everyone, because everyone's contributions are so incredible. I read all of them. I'm like, wow. So this week I'm going to try to make it a point to respond to everyone. So y'all have a great week.